What a privilege it is to be here today. You know, serving as the organizing pastor of a new church development can be a particularly lonely occupation. I know that's true not just from my own experience, but as I've talked to other NCD pastors, I've learned that loneliness is a universal experience, especially in the early days of a new project. When I look back at the early days of Village, I see that my work was greatly enhanced because of the presbytery was involved. And the person who embodied the whole of this community was Barbara Murphy. She was there not just for the planning meetings, but Barbara was there for me and for my family. On our first Christmas, when we had a small circle of friends and we were doing our best to adjust to new surroundings, it was Barbara who came to check on us. She brought kindness, and this is even more touching for me. She brought gifts for our children. If you want to touch the heart of a father, you do something for his children. And Barbara did that. She did it again and again and again in so many different ways that I will forever be grateful. She kept us focused on our task, but she was there as a presence with us, encouraging us every step along the way. When we started Sunday services, it was Barbara who encouraged participation. It was Barbara who organized our Christian education. She was there week after week and month after month until we were finally able to stand on our own. And let me be clear, the good progress that we made was because Barbara invested herself and she taught others to do the same. You know, early on in the book of Acts, we're told about a person who had an incredibly helpful ministry, so much so that the apostles gave this person a nickname. They called him Barnabas, which means son of encouragement. Later in Acts, we read the stories about how Barnabas and Paul went about the business of spreading the gospel and establishing churches throughout the empire. And every step along the way, Barnabas was there offering encouragement. Well, Barbara, you have been a Barnabas to me. You've been a Barnabas to me and many other pastors in the work of new church development, from Trabuco Canyon to Huntington Beach, from Laguna Niguel to Yorba Linda, from Santa Ana to Ladera Ranch. Every one of these projects needed a Barnabas, and that's exactly what we received in you. On behalf of the many organizing pastors you have nurtured and encouraged throughout the years, let me say thank you. For the kindness you've shown to me and my family, we can never repay it, but we are determined to pay it forward in the ways that will touch others with the love of Jesus Christ. Thank you for your partnership, for your friendship. We appreciate it so much. God bless you.
Barbara, I don't understand why he said that. You know, we were just fine, weren't we? Many of you know Barbara for the wonderful ways that she has related to the ethnic churches of this presbytery. However, you may not be so familiar with the Barbara that is a world traveler, is a missionary on the go, is a peacemaker, and an ambassador. This woman really is all of those things. This is the Barbara who in 1984 was part of a small ecumenical peacemaking group that went to Northern Ireland to study the conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants there. Now, who better to send than an Irish lass named Barbara Crook, who married a guy named Jerry Murphy. I was thinking about this today, and I thought, I'm glad she didn't marry somebody named Ole Olson. So off she went to Ireland. But Barbara's not afraid to go on mission trips and use her hands also. Because in 1993, she was digging trenches for water in Kenya, pouring concrete for a foundation, and building a roof for the pump house. She admitted to me that those African women did a lot better job with the shovel than she did on that hard African soil. but she went and she gave herself. In 1995, she was off to Mexico City, visiting the local churches, helping with their educational needs, and at the end of that trip, she again got involved with building in helping a project of Habitat for Humanity. She joined a Los Ranchos team and Seattle Presbytery team that went in 2004 to visit educational needs and handicapped folks in the countries of Vietnam and Cambodia. But when I really got to know Barbara was when we went to Africa, South Africa and Malawi just last year. This was a small team from across the denomination on a traveling seminar, learning from our church partners over in those countries just the realities of HIV/AIDS, and that was the focus of the trip. I want to tell you about Barbara on that trip. She was a gracious model of a woman in ministry. In a country like Malawi, where women don't have the opportunity to hold the position such as associate executive of a presbytery. I want to tell you, they were duly impressed. But Barbara didn't just relate to the synod and presbytery execs. She was at home with the orphans and the go-go's and the grandmothers and the teenagers and the sex workers that we met, with people in churches, in little huts along the road, in the back of the bus with the young people who were traveling with us as she played cards with them. Wherever she goes, she's just Barbara. In thinking back about that mission trip in the last few days, I realized that Barbara has a special ministry in missions. It is the ministry of encouragement. It is the ministry of presence. It is a ministry of just showing up. I really think that Barbara would agree with me that sometimes we go on these trips not because we think that we can dramatically change the world, but knowing that in the very end, the world will change us. So Barbara, you took that humble gift of relating to let people know, the ones you met in Ireland and Mexico and Vietnam and Cambodia, South Africa and Malawi, to let them know that they matter. And no one I know does that better than Barbara Murphy. So the presbytery as ambassador to the world, which is what you've been, we say thank you for being that to the larger world. And now my prayer to you, Barbara, and Jerry, you too can go along, that you may have the opportunity to continue to bring the hope of Christ into a needy world. That's my prayer for both of you.